There is a secret that not everyone knows about the golden age of Hollywood. It had some of the most difficult stars of all time, from famous names like Henry Fonda, Kirk Douglas, or Errol Flynn. Although they were loved by many fans, in the industry they were known as difficult to work with. There were also many other stars who gained a reputation as evil. Who were they? Let's watch this video until the end. Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers, despite his brilliance in the Pink Panther films, was infamous for his erratic behavior on set. His eccentric style, staying in character even off camera and constantly improvising, often frustrated cast and crew. His partnership with director Blake Edwards was especially strained. Sellers resisted direction, clashed over creative control, and his temperamental moods caused frequent delays. Co-stars also complained of his unpredictability and refusal to collaborate. Yet, despite the chaos, Sellers' performance as Inspector Clouseau became legendary, proof that behind-the-scenes turmoil could still produce comedy classics. Orson Welles. Orson Welles, hailed as one of the greatest filmmakers in history, is best known for his groundbreaking masterpiece Citizen Kane, 1941. Despite his extraordinary talent, his career was marked by conflict, stubbornness, and a darker side often hidden from the public eye. While his public persona was that of a charming, eloquent artist, private recordings revealed him as bitter and deeply critical of colleagues. He mocked legends like Laurence Olivier, calling him overrated, and James Stewart, whom he dismissed as cowardly and shallow. These comments painted a picture of a man whose towering genius was matched by insecurity. Much of his discontent came from frustrations with Hollywood's rigid studio system, which he found stifling to his artistic vision. Arriving in Hollywood as a theater prodigy in the late 1930s, Welles sought to push the boundaries of cinema. But his refusal to conform often brought him into direct conflict with the very system that had made him famous. Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney, one of Hollywood's most prolific actors, became famous for his youthful charm and the endearing characters he portrayed on screen. However, his real-life demeanor was far from wholesome, often described as abrasive, bombastic, and rude. His difficult personality became evident during the filming of National Velvet in 1944, where he worked with 12-year-old Elizabeth Taylor. Reports suggested Rooney behaved inappropriately off-camera, later dismissing her and even questioning her talent. This arrogance and lack of regard fueled a growing narrative of his harsh behavior. Colleagues and insiders later revealed a more unflattering picture. Rooney often criticized peers, showed little empathy, and was difficult to collaborate with. While the public adored his plucky screen roles, his private behavior painted a very different image. After his death in 2014, revelations about his unkind treatment of others shattered the carefully built persona, forcing a reassessment of his legacy. Rooney ultimately became a symbol of the contradictions that defined many classic Hollywood figures. Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas, one of Hollywood's most iconic stars, left behind a legacy of both achievement and troubling allegations. After his death, reports resurfaced claiming he mistreated 15-year-old Natalie Wood, who was allegedly invited to his hotel room and later threatened into silence. Though never substantiated, the story cast a long shadow over his reputation. Douglas was no stranger to controversy. He openly admitted he was the most unpopular actor in Hollywood, a result of both his difficult personality and his tumultuous upbringing. Known for his strong will, he often clashed with colleagues. On Spartacus, Douglas fired the original director after a week and replaced him with Stanley Kubrick, only to later clash with Kubrick himself over creative control. Their tensions resurfaced on Paths of Glory, where Douglas again imposed his authority. Despite these conflicts, his films became classics, leaving behind a complicated legacy, celebrated on screen, but shadowed by allegations and his domineering nature. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn's life was filled with wild parties, affairs, and reckless behavior, which built his reputation as a roguish adventurer. But in 1942, his career was shaken when he was accused of statutory rape by 2 young women. The trial, sensationalized by the media, painted him as a predator abusing his fame. Flynn denied the charges, claiming the encounters were consensual, and he was acquitted due to lack of evidence. Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby's success masked a troubled family life. His marriage to Dixie Lee, plagued by her alcoholism and declining health, ended with her early death in 1952, leaving Crosby to raise their 4 sons. Behind closed doors, Crosby was described as cold and authoritarian. His son Gary revealed in his autobiography that their father rarely showed affection and ruled with strict discipline. This emotional distance left lasting scars, contributing to strained relationships and struggles within the family. Crosby's public image as a warm, charming star contrasted sharply with the emotionally detached figure his children knew, Henry Fonda. Henry Fonda was often cast as a man of principle, championing justice and morality. Yet behind this virtuous image lay a personal life marked by emotional detachment, infidelity, and strained family ties. His children, Jane and Peter, often spoke about his distant parenting. Jane described him as emotionally unavailable, physically present but unable to show affection or vulnerability. This left a void she spent much of her life trying to fill. Fonda's detachment stemmed from a strict Nebraska upbringing where emotions were discouraged. This carried into adulthood and his 5 marriages, all troubled by his inability to connect. His second wife, Frances Ford Seymour, mother of Jane and Peter, suffered from mental illness and eventually took her own life in 1950. Fonda rarely addressed the tragedy, leaving his children to grieve without support. Both Jane and Peter pursued acting, but their careers were shaped by their complicated relationship with their father. Jane sought his approval, while Peter channeled feelings of neglect into his performances. Fonda's infidelity was an open secret in Hollywood. His third wife, Susan Blanchard, described their marriage as troubled by his emotional withdrawal. Time and again, his relationships followed a cycle of passion followed by distance, leaving partners isolated and unsupported. Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway's career was marked by relentless ambition, but her volatile behavior often created chaos around her. The height of this reputation came during her Broadway run in Tea at 5, where she left abruptly amid reports of hostility and tension with colleagues. Allegations of erratic behavior, even physical altercations, fueled her difficult image. Her troubles extended to film sets as well. On Chinatown, one of Hollywood's most celebrated films, Dunaway's actions became infamous. Reports claimed she behaved erratically, even engaging in bizarre habits on set. The most notorious incident was when she allegedly threw a cup of liquid at director Roman Polanski, shocking the crew and straining their relationship. Though Dunaway denied many of these stories, they became part of her legacy, painting her as an immensely talented yet unpredictable actress whose behavior often overshadowed her performances. Milton Berle. Milton Berle's reign as television's top star did not last forever. While he dominated in the early years, comedy soon evolved with talents like Sid Caesar, Jackie Gleason, and Johnny Carson rising to fame. Berle, unwilling to adapt, became a relic of an earlier, louder era of television. The moment that cemented this decline came in 1979, when he guest-starred on Saturday Night Live. By then, SNL was known for its sharp, edgy humor with stars like John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, and Gilda Radner, very different from Berle's old-fashioned style. His appearance was chaotic. Berle clashed with the cast and crew, refused direction, and insisted on inserting his own outdated material. He interrupted sketches, overacted, and derailed the show's flow. The younger cast, once fans of his work, saw him as arrogant, out of touch, and disrespectful. Instead of reviving his reputation, the performance highlighted how far Berle had fallen behind in the changing world of comedy. Wallace Beery. One of the most disturbing aspects of Wallace Beery's reputation was his treatment of young actors, especially those with little experience. On set, he often used intimidation, verbal abuse, and sometimes physical aggression to assert dominance. Many recalled him as cruel, unpredictable, and feared by younger co-stars. The most infamous example was his treatment of child actor Jackie Cooper during the 1931 film The Champ. While their on-screen bond as father and son was heartwarming, off-screen Beery was harsh and abusive. Cooper, only 9 years old, later revealed that Beery belittled him, intimidated him, and once even slapped him in frustration, leaving the child in tears. Though Cooper went on to have a successful career, the trauma of Beery's behavior left lasting scars and painted Beery as one of Hollywood's most feared figures behind the scenes. What do you think about these stars' bad personalities? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Goodbye.